What is going on, guys? It's Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight's show is going to be packed, so stick around. We have a lot to go over. Everything that is going on with Russia, China, and then, of course, the United States, and every way we are involved, including our allies. So if you're in one of those allied states, I'd pay attention very closely. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over.
All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a lot to go over, so if you are new here or someone just shared my show with you, this is a live show. Anything can happen, and it goes pretty quickly, especially tonight, and we're going to go over a lot of different stories. Some of them you might say, hey, where's the source for this? You can always go over to marfooglenews.com, and it's very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. You will look on marfooglenews.com for this thumbnail in mere days, and then click mid-February. Once you do that, you will see that we have done a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, article, document. Doesn't matter what we put there. It is all going to be available over on the website. On top of that, there is an entire other show down there. Once you hit that yellow bar, that's web-only content. That's the stuff that is too hot for TV, essentially the stuff that people are getting knocked off for, or it's too far to one direction for us to cover without being neutral. Again, we try to stay as neutral as possible, while still having somewhat of an opinion. On the right side, if you are trying to support our show, we are independent. Again, we are up against one of the biggest platforms and group in the world, and since we cover controversial subjects, it is not easy to do what we do. So if you do want to support, over on the right, there is all of our affiliate boxes. All of those boxes lead to a product that we believe in, or again, that we think that people should have, that will either save a life, like EMP Shield will protect you against EMP. Again, My Patriot Supply, you'll be able to have a supply of food or any kind of survival gadget that you can think of over there. Again, that is all stuff that we think will help people and help the show at the same time. When you purchase through them, they send us a commission and it helps us. So thank you. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex. What is going on tonight, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So I want to thank everybody for already popping in. I want to special thanks to Teresa Wrench. Before the show even started, showed her love and support. Thank you for the massive super chat. You know that is not necessary. A $50 super chat. Thank you so much. What a way to start the show. So thank you so much, and we appreciate that. All right, let's get right into it. We have astronomers spot object unlike anything seen before, sending signals our way. Now, when Oumuamua came by, I have my own weird opinions, and it's okay to have weird opinions. Personally, and it feels weird to say it, I know, because the thing is our audience is very split. Some believe that aliens are angels are aliens, or that space doesn't exist, or this or that. I have my opinions, and I would hope that everybody else has their opinions as well that aren't always popular. One thing that I think is that something was in Oumuamua, or Oumuamua was something. If you're familiar, Oumuamua was an asteroid that they said was our first interstellar asteroid or interstellar comet. And it came in, and if you look at the trajectory of what happened, it supposedly went right by Earth and then sped up. It actually went, in the grand scheme of thing, it went close to Earth and then all of a sudden sped up and went back out of our universe. And they nicknamed it Oumuamua, which means scout. So I thought that was very, very interesting. It was the first ever of any kind, and it was called a scout. Within a year, we had a second object come in, our second ever recorded interstellar object from outside of our universe. So I thought that was pretty weird. Now, remember, that interstellar object happened right around the same time I've been talking a lot about the whole Don't Look Up movie. It was done by the director Adam McKay. Adam McKay is actually, he specializes in doing true-to-life films, like he does based on real event films. And then he actually even put a part of in the trailer of Don't Look Up, that's the big asteroid end of the world movie. He made that movie to look like a reflection of the T-Man administration, our last presidency. And some of the events that were in that movie actually happened during T-Man's presidency, such as, you know, the whole, all of a sudden everybody's talking about asteroids being worth trillions of dollars, as far as the celebrity breakups and things that were going on, and just weird parts in that movie, even little things that you could catch in the back of the movie, like while she's looking at her computer in the very beginning, you can see that Elon Musk's end of the world tweet is in the background on her computer. So I thought that was weird, and that has an exact time. I've talked about Elon's weird quotes and weird memes that he's posted, and essentially says that if an asteroid hit, nobody would notice because they have their AirPods in. He just posted that about a few weeks ago. So it's really weird considering he runs SpaceX. He ran the rocket that launched the DART, double asteroid redirection test, that they just launched, which, by the way, again, was rescheduled. If you think about that. And then we are very close to a conflict right now. Or is it a conflict, or is something going to hit us and they're going to say it was a missile or something? I don't know. Either way, as far as the story tonight, kind of freaky. It says a mysterious object, unlike anything astronomers have seen before, has been discovered in our galactic backyard. In research published Wednesday, scientists described the strange spinning mass, which is said to release an enormous burst of energy every 20 minutes. That radiation, which crosses the line of sight of telescopes on Earth for 60 seconds at a time, is one of the brightest radio sources in the sky. It was detected by a team of the Australia-based International Center for Radio Astronomy Research, who were mapping radio waves in the universe. It says they believe that the cosmic flasher could be a super dense star or a white dwarf collapsed core of stars with a powerful magnetic field. It says, quote, this object was appearing and disappearing over a few hours during the observations, said Dr. Natasha Hurley-Walker, an astronomer for Curtin University in Australia, who led the team. It says that was completely unexpected. It was kind of spooky for an astronomer because there's nothing known in the sky that does that. It says it is, of course, really quite close to us, about 4,000 light years away. Funny that they actually have the most random ads here. Roblox and Pornhub together. That's interesting. It says the object is discovered using Murchison Wide Field Array, or MWA telescope in the Australian outback. It's what's known to astronomers is a transient, an object in the sky that turns on and off, such as a dying star. So-called slow transients appear over the course of several days and vanish over a few months. One example is a stellar explosion called a supernova. Fast transients, such as a type of neutron star called a pulsar, flash on and off within seconds or even milliseconds. The newly discovered object is unusual because it fits in neither category, beaming its radio waves across a galaxy in bouts lasting roughly a minute. So, what do you think it is? I would love to hear from you in the comments down below or in the chat. Well, again, pretty crazy. What do you think it is, Dex?
I don't know. It's never been seen before, so that's kind of always interesting. We'll eventually find out, I guess, what they completely describe it as. Some scientist will claim this is what it is, but it'd be interesting to think if it was, some sort of, tunnel or wormhole or something's transporting or doing something really, crazy in space, that, we may learn something new about. So I don't know. We'll find out, hopefully.
Well, I'll be interested to see what people comment down below. And then Bible Talk for Common People says, "Hey, bro, hope you get well. Have a friend that had what you have, has or have. He had surgeries years ago and is doing good." Bible Talk for Common People. So the surgery you're talking about is they cut a part of your intestine out. And I did ask about that because it's my third time having diverticulitis-related things. Luckily, I actually went into the hospital again last night. They did a CAT scan or a CT scan, and they did blood. They did basically everything. They did all sorts of screens. They did all sorts of stuff. They didn't find anything wrong with my kidneys this time again. But what they did find is the diverticulosis. So the last two times I had diverticulitis. This time it was diverticulosis. Losis is where you have the pouch in your intestine. Itis is where it gets infected. So I knew what it felt like even during that show last night. I knew if you go back to that show, I switched over to Dex because I had a really bad pain. So I ended up going into the ER last night again. But I went to a different one. I went to a small hospital, and that small hospital had me in within 15 minutes, was doing a CAT scan or a CT scan. Within 25 minutes, they had me on an IV. They did all the tests. Within an hour, I was like basically, set up for everything else. And then they did several other things, including some stuff that none of the other hospitals have ever done for me. So I'm not going to the big hospitals anymore because the little ones, they are waiting for people to help. These big hospitals, they don't give a crap about people, especially people without insurance. It's insane. They didn't care. They did everything. I swear that when you go in with no insurance, the big hospitals, they don't want to waste their time. They're like, well, we'll never get paid for this or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they have quotas and they're like, well, this person's never going to pay $50,000 for this or $10,000 for this. So they just don't do it. The guy didn't even, it was just unbelievable. So thank you. Again, this time I got to it early. So hopefully clearing out was all I needed to do. I don't know. And then Andrew McWilliams. Thank you, Bible Talk. I really appreciate that. Andrew McWilliams, I appreciate you as well. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys. You don't have to do all that. Thank you. Arletha Chambers, thank you for subscribing. Chasing Media and Ruben Bailey. Everybody that just joined the channel, we do appreciate each and every new person in the Marfia. And then we have experts are ringing alarms about Elon Musk's brain implants. Well, I would say that everyone is ringing alarms about this. This is one of the scariest things ever because they are doing brain implant chips. This is not the future. This is here. And I covered a couple weeks ago, there have been ads for people to join these medical trials. So if you are one of these early people to adopt this, which I don't think I could ever do. In fact, I'm going to do a quick survey. Would you ever do a medical trial for a brain implant chip? And I'm sure there's some supporters here for Elon's ideas. Think about this. This would directly connect you. This is Matrix type stuff. Directly connect you to the internet, to different things, to the computer. It is basically being an android. Would you do it? Press 1 if you would, and 2 if you would not. And I'm going to have the chat on screen. 1 for yes and 2 for no. Wow, that is a lot of no's. Yes, and the hell no. Yeah.
I wouldn't be first.
There's actually a lot of 2s. Wait, no, 1 is yes. Yeah. There's not a lot of ones at all. Well, I guess, okay, 3. What about 3? You would get it later when it was tested. See, the question is, would you get it and do medical trials for it? I don't think I would do that. But what if the first people get it and then they stop doing it? So the first people have this superpower of connecting to the internet with their brain, but afterwards they go, this is playing God and we're not going to do this anymore. They could make a movie about this. They could make a sci-fi Black Mirror episode where there's an outcast of like 12 people that did it, and they're like superhuman, and they're outcasted by the community because they have this super ability to hook up to computers. 1369 Gemini, thank you so much for subscribing during the show. I can actually see it when you subscribe, so thank you so much. I appreciate you. It said the dystopian television show Black Mirror has begun to feel like fantasy as Elon Musk's brain implant startup Neuralink gears up for human trials. Soon the coin-shaped devices could allow patients to operate computers only using their thoughts. But in spite of the never-ending momentum for the world's richest man, scientists are worried about the company's oversight, the potential impact on trial participants, and whether society is meaningfully grappled with the stakes of fusing big tech with human brains. One of the quote here, it says, I don't think there is sufficient public discourse on what the big picture implications of this kind of technology becoming available are. So it says, I worry that there is uncomfortable marriage between a company that is for profit and these medical interventions that hopefully are there to help people, she added. And again, think about this. You're talking.
So what's the alternative? Government doing it? I think I'd choose a for-profit company over a government.
Well, I guess. I mean, well, think and look at how they put it here. It says, he previously outlined his vision to help humans achieve symbiosis with artificial intelligence to avoid being left behind by machines. I don't see this as good. Think about if AI ends up taking over your brain. Think about, so he's doing this to defend against AI, or at least that's what he said in public, in public forums. He said that this is to defend against AI. Do you guys believe that? As far as he says that AI is more dangerous than any nuke. He has said that he is more worried about it than World War III. Go ahead.
Yeah. What would be, so for those who don't like this, what would be a better alternative to defend against AI? I mean, that's the thing I've been questioning all this time. Is like, okay, how do you defend against it? And everybody says, "Oh, turn it off. Just tell them they can't do it." Well, that's not going to happen because there are going to be people that are going to create AI, and they've already done it, and it's going to get better and better. You cannot stop AI so from creating and going further. So the real question is, how do you defend against it, right? And this seems like a logical path. I haven't heard of any other logical paths.
So there's also actually it turned out to be a pretty funny movie. The Mitchells versus the Machines. It's an animated kids movie, but it was actually more of an adult funny movie. And it shows a social media company essentially making these robots, and they made a app called Pal, and Pal was only on the phone. Then they basically released this new version that was in a robot that could physically help you fly around, jetpack, basically do everything for you. Well, when he did like the Apple type, unveil the version on the phone, he just threw the phone away, which was an AI, and said, "Oh, this is out of date." And then here's the new one. Well, the phone version took over all of the robots and was pissed off because she was best friends with the CEO guy, like a Steve Jobs type. And she takes over all the robots, and it's the end of the world kind of thing. All the robots take humans hostage, and they're going to launch them off of Earth. Kind of weird how some of it kind of lined up. But there were definitely parts that lined up with real life in that movie, because there's a lot at stake here. I mean, we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, possibly being able to not only, if this ends up where they can physically control people, but also be able to replicate themselves. That may sound crazy or fictional, but they have already made in labs these artificial AI kind of cell things that have ended up replicating themselves on their own. Like they didn't do that. They have had Google shut. Was it Google, Dex? Do you remember? Was it Google that shut down its AI algorithm because it started making its own language?
Yeah, it may have been them and Microsoft. They both shut them down for two different reasons. One was getting vulgar, and the other was creating its own language.
That's right. It was the one that was on Twitter. Is that what it was?
Yeah, one of them was getting a little too racy.
And that's because it was using people's comments from Twitter to train and learn. And people on Twitter are absolutely the lowest form of politeness in the world. And then we have CS. Thank you so much for your support tonight. Over on DLive, we have lots of awesome people here. Thank you so much, Divine1122, Lemon Essence, Edgy Whalen, and Medawi, Jammer1, Kishara, and ericsplace.com. Hey, thanks for subscribing monthly. I appreciate that. So what do you think? Put it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Another Elon piece here is that Elon was offered a college freshman $5,000 to delete a Twitter account. Now, essentially what happened here was that the freshman in college made a bot-related app that would track Elon Musk's plane. This was Elon Musk's private jet, and Elon Musk said this is actually a security concern. He DM'd the guy directly, and he said, hey, your bots are tracking my flights, and it's actually becoming quite dangerous. Can you delete this so crazy people can't find my jet? And he goes, how much do you make off this Twitter? And he goes, about $20 a month. It has 80,000 followers. And he said, how much do you make? And he says, about $20 a month. I'll give you an idea how much Twitter makes, right? I've never made $1 off of Twitter, so I wouldn't know. But he says he makes $20 a month. He does the math. Elon does the math. And he says, I'll give you $5,000 to delete it. And he goes, no, heck no. I put way too much work into this. And he said, if you add a zero to that, then maybe I'll do it. He said 50,000 would help me with my college and help me, possibly even get a Tesla Model 3. He even joked in the DM back to Elon that he was like, well, either, $5,000. He said no to $5,000, but he goes, maybe a Tesla Model S or a Model 3. And he said, just joking, unless ... And then he said, add a zero to that. And then Elon Musk ghosted him. It was the real man. And apparently he's a super fan of Elon Musk. So he was just happy to talk to him. But the point stays. I didn't know about this. Dex, did you know about this account? So apparently he has other accounts that track Gates. Was it the Clintons or something? He tracks several people with his bot programs.
Yeah, and it's really smart the way he built this. So there's, like we all know what flight radar is, and you can go look. But if you have a private plane, you can actually, for privacy concerns, you can disable whether or not you show up on flight radar and or what information is shown. So it can either be no information or just not show you at all. But he not only used that data, but he would also go get this other data. I don't know if I think it was from the FAA, that was the ADB information about the flight numbers. So then once he knew the flight number, he could then track, and he was triangulating based on the altitude. Okay, well, if the plane that he's tracking has just gone from, no altitude to some altitude, well, then it just took off. So I'll monitor that as the takeoff point. And then he would start extrapolating where he thought the plane was going based on flight routes over time, and it would get closer and closer to the destination, and then he would pick the destination programmatically. So it's a really complex thing that even Elon said, how are you even doing this? And he thought it was pretty intelligent that he was able to find this stuff. And he sort of said, yeah, the whole flight system is kind of screwy the way it's set up today because all of that information is out there. It's just you have to piece it together.
So, and think about if you had this is the richest man in the world as of, in the public eye, he's the richest man. The real richest people in the world are in dark alleyways doing rituals, but they could actually track his flight. And I mean, somebody could take a, rocket launcher or something and take his plane out. That's why he was concerned about it. I am more like surprised and kind of pumped to find this kid because apparently he's tracked all sorts of other people through these bots. He actually got a job through doing this as with a startup like development company because it was such a cool thing. I mean, he really did something incredibly smart here. Either way, it's pretty crazy.
And then the best thing I love about this, Adam, is he ended it saying, hey, Elon may have ghosted him because he hasn't heard back from him. But he also said he actually knows why Elon is silent. He goes, I think he's on vacation in Hawaii. Just check Elon Jet. You'll see. So, yeah, and then he's also came back and said with an update that he would take an internship at I guess Tesla or wherever one of his company, any one of his companies would probably be considered. But yeah. Instead of the money, but he's still waiting to hear back. Yeah, but Elon is so picky. I heard that Elon will fire. I mean, he's just emotionless, and he'll walk up to you and go, "You're fired." If he see, I mean, he's seen people on the floor, and if he sees them like kind of just standing around when they're supposed to be working, he'll just walk over and go, "Hey, see you later." And he individually interviews every single employee, including the janitors at his companies. So. And he blocks his time off into 5 minutes. He is an insane dude. He's more of an android than Zuckerberg is. He's just much more personable. And then thank you, Arizona Ice Queen. Thank you for the Ninja Genie over on DLive. I want to thank you for all you do, whether you know it or not. You're doing God's work. Thank you. God bless. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Queen BTP, I appreciate you as well. MetaWee. And Jammer and Gem and all of the mods. Thank you guys for keeping it down over on DLive. And then we have drivers warned of significant traffic delays on highways as trucker convoy enters Ontario. Now, this has been blacked out by media. The reason why is this is a freedom convoy. And what it is it says drivers are being warned to expect significant traffic delays on major highways from Thursday to Saturday as the Freedom Convoy of truckers enters Ontario. What it is it's truckers that are against the and against anything forced, and they are teaming up, and they are extremely powerful together, apparently. It says the group of truckers began a cross-country trip in British Columbia on the weekend and are headed to Ottawa. They are protesting the dates, as you could say, that require truck drivers crossing the Canada-U.S. border to be, you know what I'm saying. It says, quote, be aware there could be significant traffic delays through provincial highways, OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt said on Wednesday. If you are a motorist, plan ahead and expect delays. So they are stopping up stuff because they are peacefully driving through and posting up. But Dex, nobody's talking about this. Yeah, not a lot of people are talking about it. It's sort of not going into the main news, but this is how significant this is in some of the trucking forums. And I think one of our mods sent this to me, that they had estimated that they had confirmed, actually, a moderator in this Zello, which is an app that you can download and subscribe for the convoy, that they had 53,000 confirmed in this convoy. That's significant. If that's really how large it is, that's huge.
That is absolutely giant.
Yeah, I think that came via Paladin. Yeah, Chance Paladin sent that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. But yeah, this is going on. This trouble they're having with the border is really on both sides, because there are restrictions. There's been restrictions that were lifted and then thrown back on them and then lifted again. But then, oh, by the way, the other side put them in. So now it still applies, but you can't do anything. And, it's kind of the restrictions are very troublesome for those that are not participating in the requirements. So, thinking about like if you have to cross a border, but then you have to sit for 14 days and not do anything. Well, you can't get paid for those 14 days while you're, living out a period of time that they mandate you hang out because you refuse to get a certain thing. So, that's kind of difficult for these guys that, make their living by the mile, not by the minute, not by the sitting on their butt waiting for 14 days. So, this is can really make a huge impact on both Canada and the American side when it comes to the transportation of goods up and down, our northern border. So we'll see how this continues to play out, but that's a big number if it's really that large going through Canada.
Well, think about it, 53,000 people fills in one of the largest stadiums. But imagine each one of those people sitting in a stadium have a 50-foot truck behind them. In fact, even if you just times the length of an average truck, as far as a truck with a trailer, times that by 50,000, it's probably 50 feet by 50,000. It'd probably go to the moon and back. That's pretty impressive. Natasha French, nice. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that. Nice to see you. And then blood or water, no click clocks here. I'm into jumping off cliffs because others are. 2 years since the beginning of time, and here we are. Blood or water? I don't know. I don't know what that means, but I will soon figure it out. I'm sure I'll be using the bathroom tomorrow and I'll be like, oh, I get it. If he jumps off a cliff, I do too. Go ahead.
Yeah, Adam, I was going to real quick, one other update on this convoy. There was a GoFundMe set up that's got about 4.5 million that's been contributed to it. And of course, GoFundMe has now seized and is holding all of that and not allowing that to be used for that organization now.
Wow, that's pretty lame. Well, I'm going to go to the next article. Scientists used computer to predict exactly when society will collapse in the 21st century. Scientists during the 1970s used a computer observations and changing trends to predict exactly when society would collapse. The scientific observation was carried out by a group of scientists by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, more than 5 decades ago. According to their findings, it says that the prediction made was that society would crumble near the midpoint of the 21st century in 2040. The group looked at data patterns from various factors, including the population, the use of natural resources, and energy consumption to make their prediction. It says the team's academic study has been published by Club of Rome and identified quote, upcoming limits to growth that would cause the collapse. So they're, I wonder if they're meaning growth as in people, as in population. It says in 2009, a different team of researchers did a similar study, which American scientists published. They issued the model's results were almost exactly on course some 35 years later with a few appropriate assumptions. The predictions have not been invalidated and appear to have been quite on target. It says in 2020, the Dutch sustainability researcher Gaia Harrington affirmed the bleak predictions made in the study. Gaia, who works at a multinational accounting firm, KPMG, told The Guardian, said, quote, from a research perspective, I felt the data check of decades-old model against empirical observations would be an interesting exercise. It says she investigated the predictions made back in 1972 and compared them to current data trends. It revealed a worst-case scenario of economic growth coming to a halt at the end of this decade and collapsing around 10 years later. It says Gaia did shine some light on how changing attitudes and habits could reposition the discourse despite the gloomy observation. I just want to point out, super randomly, all of the pictures here are an asteroid. Or one, at least the 2, and it doesn't have anything to do with it. Why? That's kind of weird. And it's just randomly that these 2 pictures are here. Asteroid and an asteroid. Anyways, just thought that was kind of, why use those stock pictures? With innovation in business, along with the new developments by government, civil society, continuing to update the model provides another perspective on the challenges and opportunities we have to create a more sustainable world. So, pretty freaky stuff. And I kind of wonder what, like, if Deagle was going off, I'm sure he used this data as far as part of his thing. If you know the Edwin J. Deagle and the Deagle report that says that we'll lose all of these millions of people by 2025, he was an expert that worked for over 4 White Houses, and essentially his job was a statistician. He was extremely good at what he did, and he would take statistics from all sorts of things and try to predict the future based on the statistics. He actually directly consulted presidents based on these statistics. He is the one who started that website, and he said that we would all magically lose like 2/3 of our population, or at least our allies would. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He probably used information just like this. It said that they used information from the UN, from the WHO, all sorts of different agencies. So multiple things are pointing towards, like, this is kind of the last generation. As far as a lot of people have different views on what they think, how the end will happen. In fact, make sure to go check out the show that I did with Global Witness. They had Rex on there. They had Oppenheimer Ranch. We had Jacob Israel. We had Donut Operator. It was a great show. We all talked about our different theories about how, if it's true that they're having this 6th mass extinction, how would it happen? Most people in our community actually do believe it will be the sun. One thing I do know that is that we will have another Carrington level event. We will have several things that are going on as far as our electrical grid, and that is my opinion based on actual information. We just covered yesterday that they had that report out that there is a massive threat, credible and specific, to our power grid. So it brings me to my next point. If you have not already, we actually recommend this. Whether you go through us or you go through some other means, I'd highly recommend you go through and at least check out the EMP shields. What this does is it grounds the signal before it can fry your device of an EMP or a CME or a solar flare up to 228,000 amps. So plus Carrington level here, and it can protect your car, your generator, your house, even your ham radio. They make versions of this for solar systems. They make all sorts of different devices. In fact, pretty much anything that you want to keep on, they make a device for. Again, that is at marfooglenews.com/EMP. When you go over there, you're supporting a veteran-owned business. You are supporting a device that is made in America and now protecting America. They have worked with agencies like DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team helping protect the separate Texas grid. Not only that, you'll be helping us. Not on top of a $50 discount, you will be helping our channel out with a small commission. And again, we are independent. We don't have a multi-channel network, and we don't get treated the same as other channels. So your help on that is appreciated, and in return, you get protected. So again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, so Dex, do you want to talk about Prince Andrew requests a jury trial in the suit brought by Virginia Giuffre?
Yeah, so he came out sort of guns a-blazing, so to speak, asking, that saying all of this is inaccurate, it's not correct, and I want a jury trial, which is kind of astounding, I think, given the type of case and what a lot of us sort of think is the truth. But it will be, I guess time will tell how it really plays out. I don't know if this is a good position to take versus having a judge adjudicate the trial. I don't know. Maybe he just thinks he's got a better chance with a jury. Maybe he thinks there's too much, circumstantial information it's going to be easy to get somebody to not agree out of, a jury of 6 or 12 or however many is required and where this is happening. But yeah, this is interesting position that he's taken right off the bat.
Yep. And As far as I didn't know that you could request a jury trial for civil cases. I've never been in one. I'm not an expert. And even, of course, they're a little bit different in some states, some 6, some 12. Did not realize that. Why do you think though? Why does everybody think that Prince Andrew is requesting this? What is your opinion on this? Do you think he's doing this because his consultants are telling him that if he does a jury trial, they won't be able to actually convict this in the civil thing? There's no reasonable doubt, I believe, in the civil trial. Isn't that right, Dex? There's you wouldn't get off because of something like that. But maybe they know how much evidence there is.
Right. It's not like reasonable doubt when you think about, like, say, a murder case or something like that, right? But it is, most cases or most states, I would assume it's the same. It has to be unanimous. So you could get a holdout, like one holdout that just doesn't feel like there's enough information or there's enough evidence, to warrant a claim of money or a claim of, of something. But this is, again, civil. It's not criminal. So.
Well, I just wonder, but it doesn't matter. It does matter because even though it's civil, if he loses, that would disgrace the entire royal family. If it's dismissed, then of course for the new generation that doesn't know any better, this would go in the books as, it was frivolous and it was the history books would write this down. For anybody, 30 years from now, looking at the royal family's history, this would be a joke, right? They would make it look like it was nothing and it was dismissed and it was frivolous charges and that. But if it's guilty, that would shame the entire royal family. So that would be a big deal. Maybe
do you think
can
the royal family will take him back?
I don't know if he's not guilty, right? Maybe they can plant. Maybe the family is saying, hey, we can plant a juror in there that will just make it a mistrial or something. I don't know. Or they know they can plant jurors, but they can't plant a judge or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have thought, I don't know. I just would have thought it might have been easier the other way around, as connected as all of these elites are, but you never know.
Yeah, like if they just knew one judge and that judge rules in his favor. But who knows? It says, and then the U.S. hands Russia a written response to demand, says up to Kremlin how to proceed, basically saying the ball is in your court. And so if you aren't following this, there have been a lot of things that have happened recently. Putin met with the Cuban leader, which it seems to me like they're planning last minute things here. Taiwan has been setting up mines now. They not only approved it, but got it done. And now they're actually putting them in the water. Usually do that right before an invasion. So you have China about to possibly take Taiwan, and then Russia, everything points to mid-February for taking it. And we're talking about in the next 2 weeks, we will see this thing happen. And there is parts of this that why. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. In fact, there are some quotes here, lots of indications that it will be by mid-February. So we're talking about last few minutes here in this whole up and down roller coaster. It says Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced Wednesday that the United States have delivered a written response to demands made by Russia, saying it will be up to the Kremlin on how they want to proceed amid heightened tensions between Moscow and Ukraine. Russia had issued a list of demands in December, including a promise to not admit Ukraine as a member of NATO and to withdraw troops from the region even as Russia continued to amass troops near the Ukraine border, increasing fears that Moscow will order an invasion of its neighbor. Blinken on Wednesday said that the U.S. ambassador to the Russian Federation, John Sullivan, hand-delivered the B administration's written response to the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Moscow. So, Dex, I'm sorry, did it say? Okay, they say hand-delivered. I thought it was like hand-wrote. I can only imagine if President B actually hand-wrote something and then they would be stupid enough to not proofread it and hand it to the president. I mean, what if he called him a dog-faced pony soldier or something?
Or an SOB?
or a stupid SOB? I don't know, but that's why would they do the written? And they say written, right? They're not, it's not typed up. This is something, I mean, is this handwritten? Like, or did they type up a response to this? I mean, why do they even say written in the first place? Isn't all messages that their response, they put it in writing, I guess, instead of...
Right. I guess it's
why
more
are
of a
they not
formality.
talking? Why are they not talking then? Are they not talking?
Well, they've had numerous sessions, and those sessions haven't really gotten anywhere. And what this boils down to is, Russia asked immediately, like end of the month, last month, I think it was, they asked and said, hey, you have to say that you're not going to allow Ukraine to join NATO, and you're not going to put, nukes in the Ukraine. That was like their ultimatum. It was like their red line. And, of course, they've had all these discussions, numerous discussions since then, but they haven't really gotten anywhere with the discussions. So this is the final letter, if you want to say it, and as our response to their demand. And the interesting thing is they're not telling us what's in the letter because of, diplomacy. It's private for now until it's made public by either side. But the one thing that Blinken did say was that, that they're committed to allowing, including Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity and the right of states to choose their own security arrangements and alliances. So in other words, by making that statement, it's probably really clear in there that they're not going to say, we're going to tell the Ukraine they can't be in NATO. It's up to the Ukraine to decide if they want to be in NATO. That's what I'm taking out of this letter, which I know is going right into the face of Putin and what his red line is. So I guess ultimately they've said, hey, we're not bowing to you. Your red line means nothing. So are you really going to stand up to it, or are you going to back down? So it's now up to Putin to make that decision.
It just seems like such a mess. I mean, I'm not an expert on this stuff by any means, but it doesn't seem right. What do you think about this? Let's hear it in the comments. By the way, I read almost all of those. If I can't respond to every one of them, I try to respond at least during the first hour after the show. So make sure to comment. What do you think about this? Do you think this is a good thing? What do you think was wrote in that message? In fact, put it in the chat right now. What do you think they said? Just one sentence that you think they said, like, hey, we're going to do this, or it's WW3, or here's $8 billion. We'll give you $8 billion. Did they write a check? What the heck was in there? I'll pop open the chat box here so people can see it. Thank you for everybody that participates and comments, and thank you guys. That's how I get to know most of you. That and the shoutro. All right, and then going into it, if you want to line yourself up with survival food of any kind, we, again, got asked for 2 years to try to line something like this up. So we spent about 3 months looking at the different companies. I ended up trying a 7-year-old sample of this. This is from My Patriot Supply, and this is the company we chose because I ate a 7-year sample that tasted like it was, freshly packed, right? Again, you can go over to marfooglenews.com/prep to find all sorts of survival, long-term and short-term food. Again, you can get water filtration systems that are an actual solution for if we lose our power grid or if we lose our water supplies and things like that, and you need to filter out rainwater or anything else. You can also get air purification there. You can get masks. You can get all sorts of stuff. And I'm talking about the real masks, not these little punk masks. We're talking about, all the real masks. And then you can even get iodine pills. You can get all sorts of stuff there. When you go through this link, marfooglenews.com/prep, everything that you get, one, can possibly get a discount, but two, you can also help our channel off at the same time. This is something that most of you are already doing. We are in the prepping community, so most of us are constantly upping our supplies. So if you do it, then please use our link if you're going to go through them. That way it doesn't hurt you at all, and it helps us a whole lot. So thank you, everybody that supports us in those ways. The ecosystem of affiliates is really like, especially for controversial YouTubers, that is the way you can support us. And that goes for anybody else, for Jacob Israel or for, High Impact or any of those folks. You already know that's why they end up having affiliates in the first place. So thank you, everybody that supports us. We're not treated like a photography channel or a movie review channel. Unfortunately, we are treated differently. But the world doesn't treat people unequally, right? Dex, they don't treat people unequal, right? Aren't they all about equality?
We're all about equality and fairness, except if you don't like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, unless you're you have the wrong opinion, right? Oh, you're equal. You're all equal, except for you. Got it. Craig Alicious from Australia, thank you. And it is awesome to see folks from Australia, from UK, seeing people from New Zealand. Thank you guys for visiting, and thank you for sticking around. Craig Alicious has been here for years now, I believe. Bible Talk for Common People says, in fact, you could, in theory, house the entire population of Earth into Texas at a population density of 27,000 people per square mile. Bible Talk, that is a true fact, or at least they have done the math on it. And that's why I think, when Elon Musk said that even smart people think we're overpopulated, but we actually need to have more children, I think he knows something that we don't. But I do know that, even some of my mods totally disagree. They say, hey, the world is overpopulated. Don't tell people to have kids. Do the opposite. Stop having children. You're killing the earth. And then every indication Putin plans force by mid-February. Dex, why mid-February? What have we been talking about as far as why the timeline matters on this?
So the one thing that's really important is that the ground is solid enough. And, in the wintertime, going into the wintertime, there's a lot of mud and runoff from snow melt and things like that until it gets into more of the colder season of winter. So usually around February timeframe, although some are saying now it's already, pacted where it's nice and hard. Not just the snow, but like any of the dirt and soil is no longer muddy. It's really like hard and frozen. So it's not going to be so much of a difficult for their equipment to move across the land. So that was one of the challenges. And they'd always said, hey, February would be the ideal time. So as we look at how everything's playing out, ships are moving into place. Troops are moving into place. 250 train loads are supposed to be going through Belarus. Well, that takes some time to get through. They did 25 in one day. So I imagine that's another 10 days worth of train movement, and not counting the fact that they got, hacked and potentially shutting down the trains. So all of these things take time to bring it together to actually start the conflict. So, it's not like it just happens overnight. It does overnight. One night it will start, and what we would traditionally think of. But I guess that's pretty much why February sort of is looking like the date, because all of the negotiations have happened in January. If they're not getting anywhere, all of the troop movements have happened in the end of January to get prepared for February.
And they, like Dex said, 250 train loads in Russia that are confirmed heading towards the border on top of the 100,000 that were already amassed. They're amassing more. They're bringing 250,000 troops, if not more, there. This was a quote. It says, I have no idea. This is the Deputy Secretary of State, Wendy Sherman, told the Forum. It says, I have no idea whether he's made the ultimate decision, but we certainly see every indication that he is going to use military force sometimes perhaps between now and the middle of February. So essentially in the next 2 weeks, but any time now. We saw them deploy 140 ships a day after they deployed 6 of these giant landing Navy craft. These are landing ships. You would land on the beach and invade. This is happening right now. Their air force is up in the air. China has been preparing their country to go on a blackout as far as nobody knows what their planes are doing. In fact, China took, look at the steps that they've took. China even destroyed the gear that was being used for flight radar. So the Chinese citizens could track, their flights in their country, just like we track flight radar here. I want you to think about this factoid, and you can check me on this one because we have a verified source behind this one. I believe it's China itself and the FAA. China is at 2% of its pre-pandemic flights outside of the country. So all of the flights that were going out of China right now, they are only at 2% of the flights that were going out of the country that they were at before this all started 2 years ago. 98% of their flights have been grounded and canceled. 98%. That's incredible. Basically, almost nothing's leaving China. They're preparing. They're loading up commercial ferries that were made from factory to have lift gates for tanks and things like this. They passed a law that all commercial bigger boats would have to be made with a future war in mind. They said, hey, we need you to make this to where this will be able to be used as part of our Navy. To the point where ferries actually had noses that would drop up and be able to deliver tanks right onto beaches or boats right into the water. They've done all of this, and, again, nobody's talking about China and Taiwan. It's kind of like, hey, look at the right hand. Well, the left hand, I could see them taking Taiwan, and we would find out on the news like they took Taiwan. We wouldn't even know. It would be like middle of the night. All of a sudden they go, oh yeah, by the way, they took Taiwan in 45 minutes or something. And then we would see, webcams of a destroyed city and they just swooped in and took out the president or whatever. I think that this is going to happen in the blink of an eye. Countries like Sweden are saying publicly that they think that Russia is right now planning on taking more than Ukraine, that this is a much bigger thing. So it's kind of like, how long will people say it's fear-mongering until it smacks them in the side of the head? I think even the people that have called any kind of war talk for the last 4 or 5 years fear-mongering, I think even those people will be better prepared because even though they're skeptics, they'll still have more things ready or they won't be so surprised. One thing that's good about talking about this stuff is that even the skeptics are actually more prepared than you think because they're not mentally surprised by any of this. If they're skeptics, that means they heard the message in the first place. That means it was communicated to them and they found that it was, stupid or they didn't believe it. Whereas most of the Americans that don't even bother, I think it's good that, haters or people that like that come to people's channels like ours, because guess what? That's still helping them. Whereas at least they're smart enough to search out the information. I actually give them respect. They're hearing out a message that they don't agree with. Whereas most Americans are not at all clued into what is going on right now. My neighbor didn't even know Taiwan was being taken. What do you think, Dex?
Yeah, and so Adam, I got something else I want you to pull up. It's the front page of a Russian newspaper. I put it in the screener. You can grab it there.
I got it.
It's called pravada.ru. It's the English version of it. This gives you guys a perspective of what's being said on the other side, okay? And we don't need to go into all the articles. Just read the headlines, like the nuclear submarine off the coast of the U.S., right? 20 warships going to the Black Sea, deploying Su-35 fighter jets, paratroopers, and S-400s into Belarus. Remember, Belarus is the northern border of Ukraine, and that's where one of the buildups are, right?
Look, wow. Yeah. It says Russian nuclear submarine. Look at this. This is how they view it. Let's close this damn thing. Hold on. Russian, gosh dang Google. Inappropriate. Russian nuclear submarines already on duty off U.S. coasts. You know what was commented last night in the chat? Do you remember what was commented by Scooter?
Sub hunters were out in force, right?
Off of the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
then-
I don't know if you saw on the far left, Russia's to decide on the deployment of nuclear arms into Venezuela this week.
Oh, no, I did not see that.
Yeah.
Russia is to decide. Look at this. Russia to decide the deployment of nuclear arms in Venezuela this week. Russia launches operational readiness check at southern military units because they've got them broken up into different brigades. Russia and China hold joint naval exercise in Arabian Sea. Russia unexpectedly scrambles Tu-95. Russia sends 20 warships to the Black Sea to contain NATO. Russia deploys Su-35 fighter jets, paratroopers, and S-400 systems in Belarus. And then I believe what is an op-ed, I hope, it says World War III, what Russia can do to bury Ukraine and herself. This is some creepy stuff. This is their view on things. Very, very creepy stuff. So I really hope that people are awake. At some point, you really need to figure out stuff. I told you guys the other night. I hope things just totally clear up and that we are all good. But on the other hand, I have 4 kids. And I think that most of you will be at least mentally not surprised when this happens. I hope most of you are not panicked or afraid at all, but kind of thinking about what you can do. One of my suggestions is if you do not have much, first of all, if you don't have much, if you only have $5 extra, don't super chat it, put that into food. Get extra water. And if you have the ability, go to people like Alaska Prepper or Survival Living or any of those channels that will teach you how to do cheaper ways to prep or low budget. Well, you still have a food bank. Go use it. They have canned goods. They have all sorts of stuff. Craig Alicious, thank you. Learn how to scavenge, said somebody. I don't think anybody will ever know when off-grid time is. People think we're crazy, right? Because we believe that stuff is about to go down. I think they're crazy for thinking it's not. That's my honest opinion. Dex dark website lists Russian spies, priests, and more deemed threats to Ukraine.
Yeah, it's getting kind of crazy. They're starting to put lists out. When we heard a little bit about this, we've heard the back and forth about, who they thought were in the government, so to speak, that were Russian supporting. We've heard that Russia's been trying to infiltrate and put in people in position and power that are supporters of Russia versus NATO. And now what we're getting here is it's been reported that on the dark web, they're starting to create lists of people, for whatever reason you want to think they create these lists, right? I'm not going to go into graphic detail about what they probably expect to happen with these lists. But creating these lists of people that they're saying are potentially bad, depending on which side you're on, right? So that's starting to be produced and published, and that's definitely one of the actions you're going to see as conflict ramps up.
And I bet you the people's names on those lists are going to start to disappear. This is serious, people, and most of you probably have never been on the dark web. The dark web is a dark and dangerous place, and we're not just talking about some skeevy website. We're talking about you actually have to have different. I think you have to have applications just to get on the dark web.
Usually Tor.
I've been able to go on with tour and somebody who knew what they were doing, and they took me down a rabbit hole or two, and they showed me, all the stuff. I mean, you could order weapons. You could order, any kind of drug possible. It was pretty insane to see. And then, of course, there's even the darker side, which that friend said you never go any of those, even for journalistic measures. Like if you wanted to do a documentary, there's been documentarians that have gone into the dark web, gone into a room, say, where there's, they'll literally do a webcam of having somebody sit on camera, and they take them, and people online can pay $1 million to have them do something to the person, and stuff like that. There's all sorts of weird, gross stuff that I wouldn't even talk about. But then if you go in there and they suspect you, they will then literally try to triangulate and kill you. Like, dark web is one of the scariest places on earth. I mean, all of the things you see in the horror movies are real. And that's where this list is. This creeps me out. This kind of really pulls it out and says this is getting real. And on the complete opposite end, sheer fiction. China denies Xi asked Putin not to invade Ukraine during Beijing Winter Olympics. So essentially they're saying, no, we didn't say that. You can invade. Go ahead. Well, China essentially said that Xi didn't say that. It says, and this is the South Morning China Post, or South China Morning Post, right? This is one of their mouthpieces. This is directly approved by the government there. It says China on Monday dismissed a report suggesting that President Xi Jinping may have asked his Russian counterpart, Vlad, to not invade Ukraine during the Beijing Winter Olympic Games. As tensions escalate between Moscow and the West amid fears of Russian invasion of Ukraine, the attitude of Russia's giant neighbor and close partner has come under scrutiny. So first of all, think about this. Maybe the U.S. knows that maybe there's not going to be an Olympics, people. The Olympics could be like, oh, just business as usual, everything's good. But of course, our people, none of our government officials are going to the Olympics this time around. Did you guys know that? Dex, did you think about that? Our officials aren't going to be there, correct? As part of the protest, I guess?
Not only that, but I just found this out, Adam. The U.S. Embassy in China is asking state departments to let the diplomats leave now. Not just because of the games, but they're using CV as the excuse. But they're trying to evacuate under this cover of CV U.S. diplomats across China. Let me get you this link I just found.
Wow. Are you effing kidding me? Think about it. So the Olympics, they could think about this. When they're hosting Olympics in a couple of weeks, most of the people across the planet are thinking, oh, it's business as usual. We're going to have the Olympics in China. Olympics. If the Olympics we're not going to be fighting with somebody. We've got the Olympics there. It's going to be all peaceful. We're going to go country versus country. Yet, we're not going to be there. This is insanity. Arizona Ice Queen, thank you for being one of the top supporters over on DLive. Thank you. Let's get an AIQ in the chat. AIQ, thank you. Oh, this is scary, people. Look at this. How many signs do you need? People need to... Have you ever seen somebody walking down the street and they hit a street sign? They get up and they look around to see who's there. I hope some people are seeing this right now. So
do you think this has anything to do with the new testing protocol that we reported on?
I think that's an excuse.
Exactly.
The testing protocol is anal swabs for anybody coming in, right? U.S. Embassy in China asked State Department to let diplomats leave over the CIV restrictions. So they're getting diplomats out of China, people. Do you think that's because of the restrictions? They just told all of their people to stock up on food and water. Just about a month ago. They said stock up on food and water. Have enough food and water for half a year. Okay. Russia didn't need to do that. You know why? For the last 2 years, they've been telling their Russian people on public TV to have food and water. They even, you know how we have like Good Morning America or whatever in Australia. I'm sure they have Good Morning Australia, that kind of show. In Russia, theirs actually gives them specific directions on how to keep and prepare food in the case of a nuclear disaster. That's Russia for you, right? It's like, hey, the new Jackie Chan movie's doing great. Now over to you, Bob. How do we store rice for 40 years in case of a nuclear disaster? Of course, it's not Bob. It's, hello, Vlad. Let us know how we do that. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Adam, real quick,
go ahead.
Of this, for those that don't know, the dates are February 4th to February 20th. So that is the duration, the current duration of what the Olympics are. So if there was some reason not to do something, that would be the dates not to do it. Although G says, no, go ahead, do what you want to do.
I wonder if Putin and by the way, our president has not physically met these presidents in the last few months. I don't even know in how long. It's all been digital. It's all been over. Like they're not. Wait, have they been seen in a room lately at all?
The last one we saw was Putin and Biden on Zoom, and it was even a joke with our administration because he couldn't figure out how to get the thing to work.
Did you just say administration and joke in the same sentence? Why does that fit so well? Speaking of which, fitting well, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/offgrid. There are really 3 things that I totally think are the most awesome things in the world. Again, we are actually giving one of these bags away and one of the duffel Faraday bags away. For anyone, again, it's going to be somebody who is subscribed to the other channel or emails adam@marfooglenews.com with their, of course, with their name and a number to get a hold of you or a way to get a hold of you. Again, go over to marfooglenews.com/offgrid if you just want to purchase one. If you don't want to take your chances and you just want one right now, this is the same company that we talked about previously that was named EDEC. They worked with all sorts of different government agencies making these bags for like FBI agents and things like that. What they do is they protect from being hacked, tracked, or anything else. These are truly kind of the ghost stealth bags. They have anything from personal cell phone carriers that once you put your cell phone in, it's off-grid, all the way up to big duffel bags, of course, which is showing now that can protect multiple electronics from any kind of electronic disturbances, including EMP. You can go to marfooglenews.com/offgrid, code MARFOOGLE. Make sure to head over there. Again, supplies are limited. So again, get over there. And then as far as the giveaway, we are giving away one backpack, which has a laptop holder, a tablet holder, a cell phone holder, and a key fob protector. All of those protectors are in each pocket, and they are extremely nice. Thermal stitched. I mean, these things are incredible. They are hundreds of dollars. Again, these are nice bags. So make sure to get over there. Make sure to subscribe to Marfoogle News. Or make sure to email me. Again, I'll be picking one of the subscribers to grab one of those. And then the second prize gets whatever one the first prize does not win. All right. And then again, Dex, I guess let's go over some of the too hot.
Absolutely. So head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, and scroll down to web-only content, and you'll get the rest of the story. Everything else we have not been able to cover, whether it's too hot for TV or too political or too far to one side. Hey, check out Neil Young laid down the gauntlet against Rogan on Spotify, and sounds like Spotify decided to stick with Rogan, and they're now pulling off Neil Young's music. So you can read more about that story over there. You find out what's happening in Florida. Lots of people are up in arms over that. Get ready for a new fight with our Supreme Court. And it's not about a case. It's about a replacement. Somebody's retiring. You can go learn more about that. One of our skiing sensations switched from the U.S. to China. Did you know that? I didn't, but you can find out more about it there. Find out a lot about some of the things like the GoFundMe we were talking about and what's happening there with that fiasco, and lots of other things with other topics we don't talk about, including everyone's favorite doctor. So marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web-only content, and if you're on YouTube, open the description. It's the first link, says show notes.
Is that woman even Chinese, or is she a Chinese American, or why she was on the U.S. team? And
she was born in California. She was on the U.S. team, and then she switched to China, and now China made her the face of the Winter Olympics.
Okay, that's weird. Is she a white woman? No.
I think she's either mixed or she is Chinese only, because I'm just assuming based on the last name, but I could be wrong.
Oh, she looks half and half, or maybe a quarter. My daughter's a quarter Japanese. My daughter looks mostly like somebody who would be white, only she has the eyes, which is, that's a beautiful trait. No wonder they're stealing her. Well, apparently they're having a racial draft now. Where's Dave Chappelle? All right, Dex, thank you for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Again,
much love, brother.
Thanks everybody for joining. Over 4,000 came tonight. I appreciate Tom Colick, Craig Licious, Bible Talk for Common People, Natasha French, Blood or Water, CS 1369 Gemini, Andrew McWilliams, everybody that popped in tonight. I really appreciate you. And, of course, give a big shout-out. Let's get an M in the chat for the mods. Thank you for making this a peaceful place for everybody and really, really bringing the people together. Let's see here. Thank you, Chasing Media. I appreciate your support. John Burnham. I will check my email. I didn't see that last time. And Tanya Vargas. Thank you for your support last show. Cray Tiff Diamond. Allison Terry. And everybody else that has popped in. Gone Girl 777, I hope you're doing well. Much love to you. Kara Fuse. Love y'all from Lake Charles, Louisiana. John Burnham says, make a rocket oven. Murph's, no way. Murph's Appliance Repair says, good evening, Murph here. Want to thank you and Dex for your hard work. Eyes wide open. God bless. Hey, Murph, I hope that Foogle Fam use your business for their appliances. Like I've said, I hope that people use a Marfia or a Foogle Fam member and a small business before they use some, huge appliance monopoly to fix their stuff. Arkansas Livin' says, enjoy the show. Check out Northern Girl Hobbies channel for info on Freedom Convoy. She will be there and would likely share info. So I don't know if that might be the video we shared. That might be on our website already, in fact. That might be the woman who... Kim Iverson. No, that was something else. And then, but I will check it out. Natasha French, Tammy White. Tammy Wright, I'm sorry I missed your message there. We are intelligent enough to defend ourselves against artificial intelligence. That's right. And then CS and Simply Pony, I missed you. Richard Turner, I missed you. Andrew McWilliams, thank you so much for your massive support tonight, along with Kimberly P. and Teresa Wrench. You guys have a great night. Arizona Ice Queen, thank you for kicking butt over there on D-Live. Thank you, Gem Channel Jammer. And then, of course, Chance Paladin. Thank you also for the information, Chance. You did a really great job. Big shout out to Melissa Schumer and Brendan Henschel. I just read that they are now, their whole household has come down with the sieve. So I hope that they end up getting their treatment. I hope they get the same treatment that Dex and Lexi got. So I'm praying for them. Make sure to go over and subscribe or I guess follow on DLive to Melissa Schumer. She has a clean run show. She runs one of the cleanest and funnest channels on DLive. She has trivia nights, all sorts. They have all sorts of cool stuff. And then make sure to subscribe to Brendan Henschel. If you guys have not already, make sure to check out DLive. The DLive family is great. That is our backup. Again, that is for as long as it's there, DLive has always been we're a global partner over there. It's been a great place for us. I hope that it continues to be, but again, you never know what the world is going to bring. So thank you, DLive. Thank you, YouTube crew. Thank you, mods. Love you guys. Lisa J. Hall, Lisa R. Hall. Thank you, and everybody else. Have a good night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most, you.
Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now we all sing that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. Now we all sing that they don't care about our well-being or our welfare. I got the Ali, the Chambers, the Andrew Williams, and the Bible Tiger coming people. Teresa Ranch chasing me, or going back with the Ruben Bentley, I'm about to do it back, bound for world, 2 chain, on the 2 chain, oh man, oh bang. Everybody know. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. Now they think that we are pushovers. Now they think that it's a game over. Reset button and they hit that quota. The people of the world will get back order. I got the dough that you know, and I'm fixing love cute. All right, and Greta, and the other one too. Cookie-licious and the Fugle fam, I appreciate you. I love Mama Bear and the Papa Bear, and we all stare at the people going by, and we see them over there, and not realizing that everything's here. It's the end, but we're all gonna be okay. Like Scott from Jose, and a Poco Logo 43, and a Josiah Alpha, Linda's and the Law and Drew. Oh, Ray show in the fancy, oh. I bring it down back like I bring down a house. On the northwest, nature lady and the rest is out. Patrick on the bow and a old night home. Bring her right back and I got you, yo. A Gary on the surface and a Sparky run. Better morning, everybody's all done. Missy on the wheel and the Lisa, white boy 87 and a baseball. Do it right back and I do it all. Do it again with the bam bam saw. I bring it with the Craig Cochran. I bring it with the Kid Cochran. I got the Craig on the clock round. Oh, do it all day and I do it all night. Oh, all the time. No, not like all the other time in the Victoria Pepe. Let's go have a sesh. Got the no tax with the rap max and the Kelly's been saying no, 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 no. Oh yeah. Look, got right. Oh, a trippin' by M.O. and James Rohrbach, Joe Mata, Sheila Amos, and the rest that shook a bit. Gonna bring it with the beat on. Teresa Branch, everybody get a Teresa Branch. Teresa Branch, Teresa Branch.